Jakarta has stood for more than 100 years, almost 500 years. Imagine if we, the young generation, could make Jakarta become a better city than the past. How could we face our pioneers when they try so hard to build Jakarta, to build the city not just as independent city, but also a city that has become a place where many people try for a better life. Imagine if Jakarta could be better in our hands. How many people will lose their dreams? How many people will lose the opportunity that they should get? We can count that just by our hands. We couldn't. Because it is really that many and terrifying enough even just to be imagined. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever thought that the next chapter of Jakarta will be written by our hands? Not by some political figures, but by our hands. Citizens of Jakarta. Citizens that could make a choice. Citizens that could choose their own choice. For what? For a better future and better life. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning to the honorable judges, respected teachers and friends. First and most important, before I start my speech, I would like to thank God Almighty because of His blessings and His grace. Allow us to stand here today in full spirit to contribute ourselves for the futures of our generations, of our nations. My name is Annajaf Safana, standing here as a proud representative of SMAN 113 Jakarta. I'm not coming here and standing right in front of you guys just to tell my speech, but also to contribute myself in one of the most important things that as a student can do: persuade others to build a better future of this city by my speech. Ladies and gentlemen, today we stand on a massive historic journey of Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia, the city that became a place where our proclamation was proclaimed. As Jakarta approached its 500th anniversary, we are witnessing a total evolution of Jakarta, the evolutions of our city into a better place where more than 10 million people hope to live their life in the city. The theme before us is Towards Jakarta 500, reading today, leading the futures. It's not simply just a slogan that is used for a cool decoration. No, it's not. But it is the slogan that we should take an action on. Because if we take a closer look at the slogan, we could know that just by this one sentence, it could make a big impact for our future if we take an action on. If we want to lead the future, we must find the courage to read the present. What's the relation with read today? Reading today means we are opening our eyes to see the reality that faces us, not something that we thought or we imagined, but the fact. Reading today means looking at our expanding facilities with pride, while at the same time we also give constructive criticisms and suggestions for a better version. Reading today means we are listening to our city, listening to a quiet story of community, understanding how life unfolds and thinking critically first before taking an action. If we choose not to be literate to today's challenge, imagine how we could lead the futures if we are illiterate. Ladies and gentlemen, Can you imagine that the city was built by literate people, only to fall by the illiterate people? How can we expect ourselves to lead the futures if we become illiterate? What would happen if the young generation stops seeing ourselves, stops seeing just as a passive citizens, but start acting as its primary architects that try to build the city for a better version? Leading a future does not require any political positions or a corner office. It doesn't. Just be human beings, we could have the futures. We could lead the future, especially for us, a senior high school student. Leadership is one of the key that could help us to lead the future by these three fundamental shifts. First, the way of thinking and digital literacy. Students must have these two things in their mind. Why? Because in this generation, a lot of massive technology and new technology is something that is not just a side thing in our life, but also a main part. For example, smartphone. Smartphones becomes one of our needs. With smartphone, we can do anything what we want. If we want to clear our assignment, we could ask smartphone for that. Or maybe if we want to visualize something, we could use AI for that. We could do anything just by this lightweight item that carries a lot of things. If you ask, isn't it great? Does it help us a lot? Yes, it is great, and yes, it does help us a lot. But remember, information that you get from this little lightweight item things sometimes it's not valid enough, and even worse, it's fake. So that's why we as a student need to master technology by doing digital literacy and also critically thinking, so that we could know which one is the best for ourselves. Second is environmental ownership. As Jakarta grows into a 500 years old metropolis, we must lead the charge in building a sustainable city. By building a sustainable, eco-friendly city, we just make a great decision, not just for ourselves today, but for the future generations. Imagine if today we are not trying to change for a better version. What would be in the next chapter of Jakarta? We thought that this action, maybe it's just a small action, but with this small action, it could have a big impact, whether for the present or the future. The last but not least is inclusive vision. True leadership ensures that as Jakarta rises on the global stage, no one will be left behind. If we could mobilize everyone, means that we had the power to persuade them by one of the most simple things: reading a book. Reading to get a new knowledge and apply that knowledge to build the city, so that when we look at the city, we already know that we get a lot of potential and we also maximize its potential. This thing, guys, audience, 5 centuries is not just a short time. It is a long time, a very, very long time. Empires have fallen, borders have shifted, but Jakarta still remain resilient and unyielding. What if the next centuries become Jakarta's finest era? That answer does not belong to any historic textbook, but it belongs to us. We are the ones who hold the power. We could choose whether to ignore it or try to lead on. And if we try to lead on, we must lead with a sharp mind and open eyes. And these two things are something that belong to a literate person, not illiterate person. If we want to lead the future, we have to become a literate person. Let us read the future with brave and decisive action. That's all from me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.